Alright, so day 2 of the 300ZX twin turbo teardown. As you can see, it's exactly where we left off last time. I think first thing I'm going to do today is get the timing stuff off and the valve covers so we can check out what's going on inside there, make sure everything looks okay, and we're going to go ahead and replace all the timing and the water pump and everything like that. So we'll go ahead and get that all straightened out first, and then I don't know what we're going to do after that. Maybe start moving this electrical fuse box here, and then maybe just kind of clean up everything if I can get the hose out. It's a little cold today, but we might be able to make that happen. So stay tuned. I'll check back in when we get some more done. So I'm done for today. Doesn't really look too much different in the engine bay. I did get out the air conditioner, and I took out the power steering pump because we're going to switch to an NA power steering pump when we delete the Hikis. I decided I'm not going to move this box right now. I have seen some videos of people that tuck it up underneath of this area here, but I'm not going to worry about that right now because I want to get the car running and not get too crazy into changing wiring until we make sure it runs right. So I did do some coolant bypasses for the throttle body. So in case anybody else wants to do this on your TT, basically it's the same thing on the NA. It's just they run through the throttle bodies and then they run through the turbo coolant lines. So as you can see, this line right here used to connect to the intake manifold, and it went through the throttle body, around like this, and then it connected back to this spot right here. So basically we just need to run a hose from here, and we're going to tuck it around, and we're going to connect it right back to here. Basically the same thing on the other side. So you take from right here, and we got to connect it back to right here. And this just went through the throttle body again. Actually, this side had something real weird on it. It's got like a huge loop on the back. I don't even understand why it's there. But we're going to take a hose from here. We're going to run it along here around to the back and plug back into up in that spot. So we got all that taken care of. We got our EGR tubes cut off as far back as we can. So obviously, you know, there's no EGR tube here anymore. Just starting to try to figure stuff out too. These right here are the wastegate solenoids. That's how you get the 9.5 pounds, even though the wastegate is set for 7 pounds. So, and that all connects to these lines, which will go back into our intake at some point in time. Same thing on this side. There's a boost solenoid for this side, mounted right here. And this is our line for that. We did get rid of some other vacuum lines that were unnecessary. We're going to plug those off on the intake manifold. We cleaned up everything on our intake manifold, took all the coolant passage lines off, cut all the pieces off here. I'll show you that real quick. I should have took a before this intake manifold because it's so stupid. But here's the back of the intake manifold now. So there used to be coolant passages all across here and connecting to these ports, and we cut all those off. We got our EGR tubes. We'll get some deletes for those. Clean this whole thing up. Eventually we're going to polish this, but I don't think we're going to do that right now either. That'll be for when we rip the motor out. We'll go ahead and polish that. Yeah, other than that, we're in pretty good shape. Yeah, looking good. Everything's not too bad. Oh, so when I went to take the crankshaft pulley off, as you can see, it's still on. One of the bolts broke off in the hole that you use to pull the pulley off. So I believe the pulley did move about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. So it was coming, but then the bolt just broke. So what I'm going to do is we're not going to reuse that crankshaft pulley. I'm going to buy a underdrive system. So that comes with the crankshaft pulley, alternator pulley, power steering pulley, and the water pump pulley. So we're not going to be reusing that crankshaft pulley anyway. I've heard mixed reviews on using a crankshaft pulley that doesn't have the harmonic balancer. A lot of people say it's necessary. Tons of people have been running underdrive systems without harmonic balancers for years and years and years and never had a problem. Basically what it comes down to is at a certain spot in the RPM range, the harmonics of the motor can cause extra rattle and stuff like that. If it was like a cruising RPM, then obviously I would be worried. But like I said, tons of people have run them forever and ever and ever, and haven't had an issue. Tomorrow when I come back, we're gonna go ahead and get that pulley pulled off. I'm gonna rent a jaw style puller so we can get that pulled off, and then we're gonna go ahead and try to dive into the fuel injectors, because if you watch my previous videos when we did the NA motor fuel injectors, I was very confused on the kit that I bought and the kind of injectors and what needed to be installed and blah, blah, blah. So I believe I figured out why the intake manifold is supposed to be machined for newer style injectors. My NA already had newer style injectors in it, so either somebody had swapped the lower intake manifold or had it machined already. That I don't know, but this one we're not going to machine it. The kit that I have should allow us to install the new style injectors without having to machine anything. I think the only thing we have to do is cut or remove a little piece from underneath of the upper intake manifold to allow clearance for the injectors. So we're going to figure that out soon here, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned. I'm going to go home and eat and sleep and come back, but for you, it's going to seem like now. All right, and just like that, I'm back. So we're going to continue with the teardown a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get the car up on some jack stands. So let's do a quick time lapse and get that done so we can see what's underneath of this thing. Well, it actually looks pretty good underneath. It has more stuff on it than the NA did. It's got the whole shield that covers the drive shaft still under there. It's got the, I don't know what they call it, but like the center support that goes across from side to side is still on there. I had a look at the weird stuff he's got going on with the starter. Again, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck he's got going on there. He's got two pieces of red wire, like amplifier wire, and he's got one taking power from where the starter gets its power, and he's got it going inside, and then he's got the other one coming out, and it's going to the signal on the starter. So, but then he also had it spliced in with the original signal wire from the starter, so I don't really know what's up with that. I'm kind of curious now to see. I mean, I just cut it out and just plugged the two connectors that are supposed to be there back together. So I'm curious to see if it's going to crank now without his weird switch, which, by the way, I'll show you real quick. It was connected to this switch right here. So you flip this switch and it cranked and then you turned it off. I don't really know. It wasn't in there when I got it. But see these two wires here? These are what go up to that switch. And then they go underneath the car. So you would think there's something wrong with the ignition, but then the weird thing is he had the original signal wire spliced into his wire that he ran. So I don't really know what's going on with that. I just disconnected it and I plugged the old starter wire back into the starter. So I'm curious to see if it's going to crank now. If it doesn't, then it's probably got like a bad relay somewhere, something like that he couldn't figure out, but we'll find it. I'll go ahead and show you my interior too. I put all these pieces back in the other day. So as you can see, I pretty much have everything except for carpet, which he told me he didn't have. He threw that away because he said it was all nasty. But I mean, I literally have just about every piece except for the carpet. That piece back there, I don't even know what the heck that goes to. But yeah, we got about every piece and it's looking pretty good. So of course none of it's bolted in because I don't have any of the bolts to put any of it in. But so, yeah, this will be the end of teardown number 2, probably. The next one, I'm not sure what we're going to do yet, because as much as I want to tear more of this motor down, I don't think I'm going to, because I want to just get it running and see what it runs like before I get too far into it. So, we're going to continue with the Hikest Elite. We have our new connectors to put on our wiring harness. We're going to get that retaped up with the Tessa tape, friction tape, in other words, and going to get all that straightened out. But I didn't want to mess with any of that today because I want to roll this car outside and I want to wash it, especially this engine bay, because you can see it looks pretty good. I mean, it's never been in an accident. Everything is still here. There's really no paint damage or anything like that. So I have a feeling once we get this thing outside and we squirt this engine bay out, it is going to look amazing in here. So I'm really excited about that, but I want to do that before we start fixing any of the stuff that's in here. And, you know, hopefully it'll look really nice, and which I think it's going to. And, yeah, so we'll continue with Hikest Elite next time, and then hopefully washing it, and then hopefully start putting some of the new stuff back in. So I got just about everything to put the upper part back together. I have to order the stuff for the front here, so new timing stuff, new timing belts, new timing pulleys, water pump, everything like that. And then we're going to have to do something with these disgusting pipes somebody painted blue. So I don't know what we're going to do with them yet. I really want to polish them, but I don't want to spend the time right now to do that. That's like a next winter thing. I want to get it running. So yeah, we're probably not going to do that right now, but I don't know. Maybe we'll just paint them and powder coat them or bake them in the oven or something. I don't really know. So we're going to have to do something. We might paint the intake manifold too, just to make it look a little cooler in the engine bay. So, but anyway, that'll be it for this time. Stay tuned for more videos with the TT. Stay tuned for continuing videos with Betty. And we got about another month and a half before the first Drift Nirvana. So hopefully we'll be getting to that with one of these cars and making it happen. So you know the deal. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Do what you do, guys. And I'll see you on the next one.